What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Canada has a major problem when it comes to immigration. And while one leader in particular, Danielle Smith, is trying to do something about it, the rest of Canada seems to say, let's have an open door policy. Let's just keep it the way it is. In fact, if you reference back to some of our previous videos, you'll see video in the House of Commons of the Conservative Party asking the Liberals, what are we supposed to do about the roughly 5 million migrants that are running around undocumented by the end of this year, which the Canadian government essentially has no way of tracking if they even leave the country? The Liberal government has shown many times that, well, they really just don't care. And a lot of it comes down to votes. But new controversy sparking all over social media this weekend that immigration is becoming a major problem. In fact, multiple articles have come out talking about people like Jagmeet Singh saying that, hey, we're being racist against those who are coming to our country seeking a better life. And which we're saying, no, we didn't like Jagmeet Singh because he held the country hostage and essentially bled us dry. It has nothing to do with the color of his skin. And I want to address that because immigration is seemingly getting worse in this country. In fact, it's only tainting the abilities for actual Canadians to get a job, to pay their bills, to feel like they have a cultural identity. And while some people will say that that's racist, we have to touch down on that. YouTubers were allegedly flown out to just outside of Toronto this weekend to work with the Canada India Foundation and a company called TAFSIC, or an organization, to the point that now they're saying, well, let's just read the quote. My appearance at this weekend's event has triggered Canada's finest inbreds. Hint, Canada has never been nor ever will be a white-only country. Now, this organization was being flying out YouTubers to talk about United Against Extremism, and while some posts, even on this account, were talking about, hey, it's about assimilation if you come to Canada. It's about the right forms of immigration. I'm going to get to that in a second. But you'll notice down here, the organization TAFSIC is running the event, or is a sponsor of the event. And while the Canada India Foundation says that this is to promote certain aspects of immigration that are great, well, TAFSIC posts this online the weekend of said conference. Cough, cough. The paper says I'm just as Canadian as you. No, go home. No, you go home. This is what's going on, is that white people in this country are essentially being blamed for saying, we want to have jobs. We want to have cultural identity. We don't want to just leave the door open to this kind of radical behavior that comes with an open door policy on immigration. I'm going to back a lot of this up, by the way, as to why this is a problem, because it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with where people are coming from in the world. If we brought in 10 million people from Russia, people would be saying, stop, we're losing our jobs. If people were getting the benefits of being here that are better than those who live here, who pay taxes into the system, better than the benefits of our veterans, people would be just as upset. I've shown this video on the channel before, and this highlights exactly what I'm talking about. Why Canadians have a problem with this. There was a misinterpretation with said people going to this conference that, hey, there's people out there making racial comments that Canada is supposed to be all white. That's not what people are talking about. In fact, before I show that video, this is what people were talking about. It's replacement migration. If you look on this graph, the white total percent of the population from 1971, as you can see across Canada, and we've shown this before on the channel, this apparently makes you inbred if you don't like how these numbers have changed. Nobody has said Canada needs to be a white-only country, but Canada had a cultural identity before our government started letting the door open for people to come here that know nothing about our politics, to fast-track them for citizenship, to give them votes. It's all about buying votes. That's why the benefits that we're going to get into are so much greater than those of Canadian citizens. These folks know nothing about our policies. They know nothing about our politics. But once they have citizenship, they vote for whoever gave them the free ticket ride. As Pierre Poilievre said, if you came to Canada around this time, you were told you won the lottery of life because Canada had opportunities. But those opportunities, as you'll see as I run this slide, have been swallowed up as the years go on. Take a look at how it changes. 2001, again, mostly okay. 2006, still meh. And then as you get to 2011, things really start to landslide, which is right around the Justin Trudeau area of 2015, where it just ramps up. And now all of a sudden, by 2026, this is our projection. Let me get back to that. This is our projection for 2026. And people are saying you're an inbred if you don't like what's happening here, that Canada can't be white only. It's cultural identity. And I want to quote what Ryan Gerritsen here, it's replacement migration. All for the benefit of our political leaders getting votes. That's why you'll notice that Quebec is still high on the map, as well as the Maritimes and Newfoundland. They're all being shuffled out between Ontario and West. Now again, Danielle Smith joined me on another video in the upcoming future. Danielle Smith's actually doing something about this. She's putting her foot down. But I've showed this video before. We have people in this country who have a hard time claiming disability. We have people in this problem, or in this country, who have the problem of paying their bills. They're paying 40% of their paychecks to income taxes and other taxes and fees on their paychecks. They can't afford to live. Let's take a look at this video again.
You can get up to 82,000 Canadian dollars from Canadian government for doing nothing. Yes, I am talking about refugees. If you become refugee in Canada, they will pay you up to $224 per day. That is $140 for accommodation and around $84 for food, and that too a tax-free. So it means around $82,000 a year. It looks like a paid vacation to me, or it looks like free money to me. And in addition to this, an average Canadian earns up to 63,000 Canadian dollars in a year, and he pays over 20% in taxes. Then if he buys something, he has to pay 15% again. Although refugee has to pay that, and there are a lot other things that Canadian has to suffer. So become a refugee in Canada and get up to $82,000 free for a whole year.
Look at that smile, the smirk on the face. Now, as the son of a Scottish immigrant, I will tell you that, yes, this country thrived on immigration, vetted immigration, and only immigration when jobs needed to be filled, when there was security policies in place, when we had bail or jail not bail. The laws have changed now. In fact, as we go forward, people who say, oh, we should just be more accepting. Here's Viva Fry tweeting out, Ontario men. Here we go, breaking 9 Ontario men arrested after the largest substance seizure in the history of the Peel region, with 479 kilograms of devil's dandruff, or Coca-Cola as you want to call it, seized, worth $47.9 million. Well, I guess I'm just an inbred because I have a problem that the majority, or actually all of the people in this picture, likely came from another country. This has nothing to do with race. The mugshots speak for themselves. People in Canada are fed up opening the doors to allow migrants who have no respect for our laws, as we saw in this clip, no respect for our financial well-being. They're looking for handouts. They want to leech off the welfare system. They have no real desire to get a job. And it's not just East Indians. I'm talking about anybody who comes to this country, even from Southern America, from Mexico, from anywhere around the world, from Honduras, looking to be put up in a hotel at $280 a day plus $85 for food, while the average Canadian citizen who makes $60,000 a year, and trust me, that used to be considered a lot a long time ago, is now being taxed to death and can't even afford to live. It's not even just happening in Canada. Look what's happening in America. Again, Ryan Gerritsen, great X account. I would say this is grounds for immediate disqualification from the mayoral race. Here's Mamandi running in New York saying white neighborhoods should pay higher property taxes. I mean, where are we in our state of living that this is okay? What I find funny, the reason I want to talk about all this is because if anybody who's white mentions any of this, and I'm sure I'll see it in the comments too, people saying, "Hey Fringe, you're a racist. Hey Fringe, you're an inbred for not understanding what Canada needs." If a white person mentions this, you're suddenly deemed a racist. But anybody else from anywhere else around the world says something about white people, and suddenly, well, it's okay because we've been oppressed. We've been told, uh, we've been told we should go home, according to organizers of conferences that are paying our YouTubers to go out and speak on their behalf and shill their message across the country. I can happily tell you that this inbred Canadian would never take a dime from any organization like that. That I recognize that people who come into this country should only come into this country when properly vetted. I don't care where they come from around the world. They have to bring skills with them. They must have a job. They must pay into our tax system. And if they're here temporarily, when their time runs out, I don't care what color your skin is, you get on the plane and you go home. Our government needs to stand up to immigration. In fact, part of the reason I bring it up in this video is it was the #1 issue in our last federal election. We now have a clown government in office that's going to do nothing about it. It's going to continue. A conservative-led government, by the looks of it, would have continued down this path as well, while introducing stronger laws, I guess, to keep them in jail rather than give them bail. The problem Canada has, and America, by the looks of it, when you look at this guy running in New York, is the door needs to be closed. And we need to start saying, look, round them all up, get them out of here. If you've got a job, you can stay. If you're contributing, you can stay. If you're vetted and pass security clearance, you can stay. If you break our laws, if you harm our women, if you disrespect our country, you leave. You're gone, expedited, and your country can handle whatever they want to do with you within their laws. But you take 10 million Canadians and flood them into any other country and tell me that those countries wouldn't put their hands up and say, what's going on here? We have a major, major crisis in this country. Nobody seems to want to address it. And if you do, well, you're a white inbred. Let me know your thoughts down below if you think Canada's immigration problem is about to get worse. Do you think that chart that talks about the percentage of a white population in Canada is going to decrease even further past 2026? Or do you think that, well, a line needs to be drawn in the sand and something needs to happen about it? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that button, you turn on the bell for all notifications. Join this channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our weekly live streaming show, where we talk about everything that happened this week in Canadian politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as your Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I always look forward to talking to you guys each and every week, joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe to hear what you have to say. Outside of making these videos, I most importantly look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.